Hi, Brynn. I have a special book for you today. But before I read you the book, I want to tell you a little bit about the characters in the book. So, you know how usually Grandma and Grandpa, Papa, we live in New York, just like Brynny lives in New York, the state of New York. And you know that we went on a really long ride to a different state. And the state that we're staying in right now is called Arizona. And Arizona is very, very different than New York because we have different animals here, we have different weather here, and we have a lot of different plants here. And this past week, Papa and Grandma went to a place where we could learn all about the different plants that live here in Arizona. And one of the plants that we've been learning a lot about is called a cactus. Now, we don't have cactuses in New York because cactuses don't need much water. They just need sunshine. They don't need much water. Sometimes they need a little bit of water, but not very much. But the thing about cactuses or cacti is that they grow really sharp spikes on them. And that means you don't want to touch a cactus and you don't want to hug a cactus because it would really hurt because it has these little sharp things sticking out on it. Now, the story that I have is about a cactus named Hank. And Hank is very, very grumpy because he's all spiky and spiny and nobody wants to touch him and he doesn't want anybody to touch him because he's very sharp. But there's another character in the book. And this character is called a tumbleweed. And a tumbleweed is really, they're like a big pile of sticks and twigs that have broken off from some of the trees that live here in Arizona, and they just snap off when it's really windy, and they're kind of just a clump, and they start rolling when the wind blows. So people just call them tumbleweeds because they tumble all over. So we're going to learn about Hank the cactus, and we're going to learn about a tumbleweed in this book right here called Nobody Hugs a Cactus. And it's written by Carter Goodrich. So there's Hank sitting in his window. Okay. Hank lived in a pot. You can see there's his little pot that he lives in, right in the window. The pot sat in a window, and the window looked out at the empty desert. Now, a desert is something we have a lot of here in Arizona, and it's just hot, hot sand and stones and rock, and lots of sunshine, no snow. We don't get any snow. It was hot, dry, peaceful, and quiet. So there he is, and there's the desert, right by where Hank lives. And that's just the way Hank likes it. But every now and then, somebody would interrupt Hank's peace and quiet. "Hi, Hank," Rosie the tumbleweed called out. "Isn't it a beautiful day?" Well, Hank just ignored her. He just wanted to be left alone. So there's Rosie the tumbleweed trying to say hi to Hank, but he's grumpy. Look at that look on his face. Grump, grump, grump. And there's another one out there in the desert. Poor Rosie. She was just trying to be nice. "Okay, so long," said Rosie cheerfully, and she tumbled away, and Hank was happy again. And there he is. "Go away. Leave me alone." Rosie said goodbye, and she's going to tumble away. But just as he was beginning to relax, "Hello," shouted the tortoise. Private property, yelled Hank. Keep out. The tortoise was so frightened he hid in his shell. Look at Hank being all grumpy to the poor little tortoise. Hank was still yelling at the tortoise when a jackrabbit dashed by. Hiya, Prickles, she shouted. My name isn't Prickles, said Hank. He yelled back, stay out of my yard. And there's the jackrabbit, and there's Hank yelling at him. And Papa and I saw a real jackrabbit. Big, big long ears they have. They're a little different than New York bunnies. Tumbleweeds, tortoises, jackrabbits, what's next? Said Hank. There he is, being grumpy. A coyote came loping by. No dogs allowed, Hank yelled. I'm not a dog, said the coyote, and you are as prickly on the inside as you are on the outside. And there's the coyote. Before Hank could yell back at the coyote, a cowboy strode by. Keep off the grass, shouted Hank. What grass? Said the cowboy. Seems to me somebody needs a hug. Too bad nobody hugs a cactus. There's the cowboy. Hi, said the lizard. Who invited you? Said Hank. And just in case you're wondering, I don't want a hug. Well, that's good, said the lizard, because I don't want to give you one. And then he skittered away. There's the lizard. An owl landed on the roof. If you're looking for a hug, said Hank, well, I guess I could give you one. Maybe Hank is changing his mind. Maybe he's starting to feel a little bit lonely. Whew! Me? Said the owl. You must be joking. And for the first time, Hank began to feel a little lonely. The owl wouldn't give him a hug. Oh, look at Hank. Maybe he shouldn't be so prickly to everybody, huh? The next morning, Hank was feeling more sad on the inside than prickly. Maybe a hug wouldn't be so bad after all. Sometimes we need hugs, huh? And the wind began to pick up. An old cup blew by and stuck to Hank's face. It got caught in his prickers. And his arms were too short to get it off. Oh, great, said Hank. Look, he's got a cup stuck on his prickers. After a while, Rosie, the tumbleweed, came bouncing by. I'll get it off you, Hank, she shouted, and she jumped up and knocked the cup off of Hank's face. And then she tumbled away. There's Rosie with a smile. And she tumbled it right off of him. Hank didn't have time to thank Rosie. She was tumbling too fast. He felt bad about all the other times he had been so rude to her. So he came up with a plan. I wonder what he's gonna do for Rosie. Hank decided to grow the best flower that he could grow, and then give it to Rosie as a thank you gift. It took days and days, but at last his flower was ready. He couldn't wait for Rosie to tumble by again. Look, he grew a little flower. When at last she finally did come bouncing back, Hank held out the flower. Look, Rosie, he said, I grew it just for you. Rosie was so surprised that she jumped up and gave Hank a great big hug. And it felt so nice that Hank didn't want to let go. And as things turned out, he couldn't let go. Rosie and Hank became stuck together. She's stuck in his prickles. But look at her face. She's happy, and look at Hank's face. I think he's happy now too. But they didn't care. After all, it's better to be stuck in a hug than stuck all alone. And there they are, best friends now. The end. And when Grandma gets home, I am going to save this book and you get to have it. You can keep this book at your house, okay? As soon as Grandma gets back to New York. And then you'll have a special book all the way from Arizona. And I want you to remember that I'm giving you a big hug and I love you.